I've been having some deep thoughts. Life was different, and I had to reconnect with my old self. What if the very thing that we've all been searching for, it's already within us? Welcome back to another episode of the Presence Podcast. Today is going to be one of those special episodes because I haven't done one in a while. Things have changed. I had to find clarity on why it is that I'm doing this. Why am I even doing a podcast, right? Why am I pushing content about growth, about faith, how to become better, how to live your dream life? So I needed to find my why. That's kind of where I've been. And I like to post real-time podcasts about real-time problems, real-time solutions, real-time breakthroughs. Then it feels real. Feels like it's right here, at least for me. I get to see my growth in real time, but then I'm also able to help those who are also encountering whatever it is that I'm going through in real time. Hence the name, Presence. And also trying to find who it is that I'm doing this for, and I think we're getting there, through trial and error, through deeply understanding myself, what it is that I want in life, so to speak, the dream life, right? We all have different definitions of what a dream life might consist of. At least for me, I have big goals, big dreams. I want to be fully present for my future family, for my loved ones, be able to give back. I've been having some deep thoughts. And I decided that I think I'm going to write a book. I'd become an author, a public speaker, to be able to encourage others. And it really wrapped around this one idea. I want to leave an impact. Before I was able to get a grasp on why it is that I'm doing this, is I needed to go back to the root. I needed to find the source. Go back and revisit the past to see what it is that led me to where I'm at today. And if you're not familiar with my background, I'll catch you up real quick. My parents had to leave me with my grandparents so that they could create a life in the States and then bring me, my grandma and my grandpa, here. That's the sacrifice that they had to take. My grandpa passed away when I was 7. I ended up being raised by my grandma by herself. It was not easy for her. My first 13 years was just completely different. I mean, compared to the States, obviously, but it's just life was different. And I had to reconnect with my old self, with my upbringing, so that I can truly gain an understanding, at least a deeper understanding of why I am the way I am today. During this hour conversation over the phone with my grandma, I asked her, I was like, take me back. What was it like? What was it like raising me by yourself? What happened after grandpa died? I'll take you guys back. Imagine being a little kid, because you're not old enough to be left alone at home. She had to take me to her job, and her job was a beautician. She was an entrepreneur. She would travel to the city. She would commute. We didn't have a car. We would take the tricycle. Mind you, we lived on a mountain. So it's literally like this. We lived at the very top of the mountain. And so every time it rained, the Philippines is known for storms. They call it typhoons. Every time it rained, guess what? The water would go like this. Landslides, flooding, you name it, okay? We had to experience all of that. Oh man. She told me how it would rain and the water, I remember this too, the water would seep into the wall. It would leak underneath. The roof would start leaking water. We would just grab towels and we'd just kind of try to dry it up. And I remember it was there. The panic, we were like, oh my gosh, are we gonna survive? It was that type of life. Going back to her job, she had to put me on her back as a little kid just so she could take me and then take us back home. I got a little bit older. She would drop me off in the elementary school. She would go to work and then I would take the tricycle back home. I would get a ride and I get home and the house is empty. No one there. I unlock the door. It's just me. Probably I was in the 4th grade. Imagine that, you're just going back home, no one's there. I had to understand all of these little things that led me the way I am today, how I act, how I interact with others, my social battery, how I recharge. It's so fascinating because all of the conversation that we had gave me a sense of clarity, understanding that I am the way I am because of that scenario. When it comes to networking, because I absorbed how my grandma would walk in a room and the entire room would literally light up. Like they would give her a hug, they would say hello. She was very magnetic when it comes to people. The way she loved was beyond. I was raised with manners. I was raised with respect. Be polite, taught me how to pray. She taught me how to be close to my loved ones and then be fully present when I'm with them. She's my world. I love her to death. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And if you're listening, I love you. This is all for you. This conversation just gave me an idea. The way I push hard, the way I have big ambitions, it's because I saw it. You know, the way she raised me, the way she was acting, the way she was moving when I was still little, it ingrained in me that resilience, that grit, that persistence. And she showed me how as long as you pray, as long as you have God next to you, by your side, anything can happen. One of her biggest dreams as a younger kid is to live in the United States, is to at least get here somehow, or at least visit. She lives here. She is living lavish. She's in St. George. It's beautiful down there. Up there, wherever. It's just like, it's so cool to hear the evolution of her story because she came from nowhere. She literally has 12 siblings. And growing up, she's told me that there was a point in time where they didn't even have anything to eat, so they just had to stare at each other. And then she was like, fast forward to having your mom, and then next thing you know, I have you. Like, she knew what she wanted, and the generational wealth, so to speak, that was passed along, it wasn't wealth because she didn't come from much. To me, it's the generational belief that you could achieve anything, that whatever we put our mind into, we can achieve. And if you could see it, you could believe it, all the things that you've heard from all these motivational, inspirational speakers, to me is understanding the patterns. And the patterns led to where I'm at today, why I act the way I act, why I interact with people socially in certain ways, in relationships, in business, in my career. Oh, sales. In the Philippines, there's this thing called sari-sari store. And what that is essentially that root, sari-sari, it means variety. We literally had a mini convenience store in front of my house. And people would knock or ring the bell or whatever, and they'd be like, can I get this? Like, we would sell from chips to sodas to soaps. It was crazy. Like, I was literally selling items. I was like 7. I was like, yeah, I got you. Like, this is how much it is. Like, I would know their pricing. But besides the point, because of that, I love sales. I'm in sales right now. Looking back, instead of avoiding the past, sometimes we find answers by looking in the past. Now, we don't have to live there, right? Because sometimes our past isn't pretty. Sometimes we've made mistakes. And this is why we change and we overcome, right? We evolve. But I think many people run away from their past because it's bad. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't lavish. But for me, I wanted to go back so I could fully understand myself. Now, it might not give me all the answers I'm looking for. It'll give me some. Sometimes those few moments of clarity can be big enough if you're trying to build a future, create something rooted in your source. The reason I tell you this is because I believe in order to build the future that we want, in order to get to the dream life, we have to start somewhere. And instead of starting from running away from the past, we have to circle back in to where, okay, this is what happened. This is what led me to the present moment. And now what can I shift in order to get to this future/dream life? And it goes back to the idea, pattern recognition. People want to become their best version of themselves. But what was your worst version? What was that very version of yourself that had to go through all that to get to here? And then what do you need to get through now in order to get to? It's deeper than that. I have more episodes to come to explain my beliefs and my thoughts and my perspective on that. I think it's all about embodying it, but for the sake of this episode, the conversation with my grandma added more fuel to the fire. It reignited my why, my purpose. The craziest thing of this conversation is towards the end of all the things that she mentioned that her and I have gone through together. And then I asked her, how'd you do it? How did you manage? How did you get through it? How did you get through all the trials and tribulations? How did you get to point A to point C Mind you, that we're literally still in the Philippines, that we're still trying to make ends meet, that we're still trying to live and make sure we don't flood the entire house. How did you manage to wake up the next morning and do it all over again? And she goes, prayer. I prayed, I cried a lot, I worked a lot, and I prayed again. And I was like, wow. And this is why I think this is one of the most emotional podcasts I'll ever have, because it goes back to my very root and my source and my beliefs and my grandma's beliefs. We just have to have faith. Whatever it is that we're building, wherever we are in life, we just need to have faith. And another thing that she added, to just keep moving, to keep pushing, to keep working, as long as God is by your side. And when she said that, I was like, wow, that is why I am the way I am. I believe that in order for us to get to point A to point B, we had to learn. We had to acquire wisdom. And then through wisdom, we could now apply that to our life, move up to the next level. But the biggest takeaway from our conversation is surrender. Are we fully surrendered to the life that we're building? Is this dream life that we're chasing, are we chasing it without faith? That would feel like an empty success for me. And what I've found is true fulfillment comes from building your dream life intentionally while having the source of faith at the very core. And the reason I share this with you is because maybe you're running away from your past. Maybe you're running towards your dream life, your success, but you don't have faith. Maybe whatever it is that you believe in, you started to forget because you got so caught up in life that you no longer have that root, that source. If there's anything that you should take away from this episode, is that you should reconnect with your old self. Not because I want you to live there, but because there's moments, there's some golden events that has shaped the way you are today, that has molded you. For the sake of growth, for the sake of returning, instead of running away, ignoring the past, why don't we become honest and face the mistakes, all the terrible things that we've gone through, all the great things that we've gone through, and find a way if we could connect all of those little pieces and bring it back to the present moment and see if there's a way for us to utilize those in order to build what's next. I think you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be honest of where you're at and intentional about where you're going. And before I go, I have one question for you. What is one event, one scenario in your past that has had a huge impact of who you are today? Write it down and truly understand what things affected the way you think, the way you talk, the way you interact, and the way you are. Who knows? What if your dream self is already within you? What if the very thing that we've all been searching for, it's already within us, right? This is the beginning. I'd love to take you guys on a journey with me of building what I call a fulfilling life. I'm excited. I am. I really am. You know, I get to share my evolution. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this helped, send it to your friend, to your family. Write some notes about it. Reflect. Start with what's real and build what's present. Because that, my friend, is where true happiness is found.